Good morning, everyone. Today we will discuss one of the topic in professional education, which is practice teaching. It is an essential phase in teacher education that allows future educators to apply their knowledge in real classroom settings. This experience provides pre-service teachers with the opportunity to refine and develop their teaching skills, while working alongside experienced mentors. Throughout this presentation, we will explore the different aspects of practice teaching and why it is a vital step in becoming an effective educator. Practice teaching serves as a bridge between theoretical learning and real-world application. It allows pre-service teachers to plan lessons, manage classrooms, assess student learning, and engage in school activities. Through observation, feedback, and reflection, they refine their instructional strategies and develop essential learning competencies. This hands-on experience prepares them for the challenges of a full-time teaching career. Okay, but before we begin, uh, here are our learning objectives. By the end of the presentation, you should be able to explain the roles, responsibilities, and expectations of a pre-service teacher during practice teaching, apply effective teaching strategies, classroom management techniques, and assessment practices to facilitate student learning, and demonstrate professionalism, commitment, and willingness to learn and grow as a future educator. Are you ready? Okay, practice teaching is divided into 13 subtopics. So before we start, the first subtopic, I will ask you something. Have you been in practice teaching? How is your practice teaching? Is it hard, difficult, easy, moderate? Okay, I know that we all have different answers on my questions. But for me, it is quite challenging and hard. Not just the daily discussion, but also the financial in terms of going to school. But it doesn't matter because we all need to focus and study hard. So we need to break the chains that bind us. Okay, so now let's proceed to the first subtopic of practice teaching. We have attending face-to-face or virtual class orientation sessions. But for us, we are having face-to-face. So orientation sessions are the first step in practice teaching. These sessions help pre-service teachers understand school policies, schedules, and expectations. Whether conducted in person or virtually, they ensure that teachers are well prepared before entering the classroom. Okay, it is very important because if we don't virtual orientation, it may cause some errors in the teaching field. Okay, it also ensures that student teachers understand professional conduct, dress codes, lesson planning requirements, and documentation procedures. Okay, and it also helps pre-service teachers transition smoothly into the school setting. So at the first day, we are assigned to our specific classroom. So alongside with the principal or the head teacher, we are tasked to meet our mentor, the mentor. So it is very important in the virtual attending face-to-face or virtual sessions. So it established communication with mentor, teachers, and administrators. Oh, that's what I see. So In this task, we are having a multiple choice question. So, I have here an example. Why are orientation sessions important in practice teaching? So, why do we need to have orientation sessions? Because yes, what I said earlier, that orientation sessions is very important because it helps us connect or have communication with the teachers, the administrators in the school that we are assigned. So, in terms of dress, the school guidelines, and the policies, alongside with the schedule. Sometimes, student behaviors are also related. So, let's go back to the question. Why are orientation sessions important in practice teaching? So, it is very important because they help pre-service teachers understand school policies and expectations. So this is the main highlight of the first subtopic of practice teaching. Now, we will move on to the second subtopic. We have doing observation of classes, pre-observation, and post-observation conferences. So, in doing observation, we have pre-observation, so before, and post-observation, after the observation. So, the focus of this subtopic is, it is crucial part of practice teaching. So, yes, I really agree that by watching experienced teachers, pre-service teachers can analyze instructional strategies, classroom management techniques, and student engagement methods. So there are a lot of student engagement methods, and we are observing it during our observation. So first, we will talk about pre-observation. It set expectations. So before the observation, so you have set expectations. What should I learn from this observation that I will help develop my skills? And in the post-observation discussions, it provides feedback and reflection opportunities. So for example, my teacher is having a strategy, so he will share with me what is that strategy and why is it important to his learner. So it is very important to take down notes during observation because our mind has a lot of things to think, so it may struggle to remember the points. So it is very important to take down notes. So it also addresses on how will you handle the different teaching methods and classroom dynamics with the students. It also engage in discussions like what we have done with my mentors. So we have a discussion about the different observations that I have been seen during his teaching. So it also helps me or my teaching practices to develop more based on what I see. So, but before that, before we go to managing classroom structure and routines, we will first have a sample question. So, my question is, what is the primary purpose of a post-observation conference? So, it means after the observation. So, what is the primary purpose? So, leave it in the space below if you want to, you have answer. So let's try to discuss administrative policies, to observe different classroom management techniques, to prepare lesson plans for upcoming topics, or to provide constructive feedback and reflection opportunities. So we are talking about post observation. So after, so basically the correct answer is letter D, to provide constructive feedback. So why is it very important to have constructive feedback? So that the practice teacher would gather or would have the areas for improvement, and also they can reflect on what will you do in the classroom. So now let's proceed to the third subtopic, and it is entitled Managing My Classroom Structure and Routines. A well-organized classroom promotes student engagement and learning. Establishing clear routines helps create a structured and predictable environment. Yes, so in managing my classroom structure and routines, we are aiming to student behavior. So we will set clear expectations and arrange the physical environment so that the classroom is conducive to learning. Okay, conducive to learning. So arranging the classroom to maximize interaction and minimize distractions, establishing daily routines and procedures, setting clear expectations for behavior and participation. So, this is a very important part during practice teaching, because without this subtopic, or this, without managing my classroom structure and routines, we cannot handle the kids or the learners inside the classroom. Because first and foremost, learning inside the classroom is procedural, since we are dealing with learners in a lower grades. So I don't think about the high grades, but it serves as a habit if we have routines and procedures in the classroom. So my example question is, why is establishing classroom routines important? So, nganong importante, or bakit mahalaga ang pagkakaroon ng mga classroom routines? So, it's letter A. It minimizes disruptions and promotes a structured learning environment, or it ensures students remain seated throughout the lesson, or it eliminates the need for behavior management strategies, or it allows teachers to teach without any modifications. So, these questions, or the answer in these questions, are all related, but we are aiming which is the best. So the correct answer is correct. The correct answer is letter A. Okay, so now we will going to move to the fourth subtopic of practice teaching. We have creating instructional materials. Instructional materials enhance student understanding and engagement, whether digital, visual, or hands-on. These materials must be carefully selected to align with learning objectives. Yes, so very important part, instructional materials, because without this, all of us or the learners will be feel bored. So I think instructional materials is very important during the lesson, kay the students have different learning abilities, and we should aim to develop their listening skills, their mga communication skills, their visual skills, their kinesthetic skills, and also their logical thinking skills. So instead of putting instructional materials or IMs in front, you should develop their how to incorporate it into the visual, the communication, the theory or the audio, and also the kinesthetic. So we have hands-on, or we are more focused on the songs, we are focused on reports, and we are focused on pictures. So it is very important to know that these instructional materials on how to make this, because creating the most creative instructional materials is crucial in the teaching and learning process of the students. So, for example, as a pre-service teacher, I might create a number matching game using flashcards to help young learners understand addition. So, for older students, they may use PowerPoint presentations or interactive quizzes to make lessons more engaging. So, it's either digital or the traditional way of delivering instructional materials. So, there are types or there are guides on how to make instructional materials. So, basically, in the educational technology or educational technology subject for the education students. So, they tackle on how to do instructional materials, and the important matters on what to put, what is the procedure, and how to use that instructional materials. So I have created here a sample question. It's about this subtopic. So the question is, what should be considered when creating instructional materials? So when creating instructional materials, what should we focus? Okay, so we might just do whatever, or we should relate it to our topic. So basically, we need to relate it to our topic. So the topic, the learning objectives, and what you have set, what expectations after the lesson. Okay, so we have what should be considered in creating instructional materials. So basically, alignment with learning objectives and student needs. Alangan, what I said earlier, di ba? It is on the learning needs of the students. It's either visual, verbal, audio, and kinesthetic or hands-on. Okay. So we have the fifth subtopic, designing differentiated class activities. So, differentiated class activities. So basically, if we say differentiated, we are developing the different skills of the students. It's either the visual, the audio, the kinesthetic, and the communication. So, why is it important? It's just to deliver or to satisfy the needs of the students? Or yes, it will adapt activities for diverse learning abilities. So what will we do? We should use varied instructional strategies such as group work, hands-on activities, and scaffolding. Okay, so if we have set that this student is good in these aspects, or we feel that I think it's that easy for his or her, so we should provide appropriate challenges for all the students. So for example, if you feel that a student is good in that area, so what will you do? You should develop his or her skills. So I have here a question. What is the main goal of differentiated instruction? So basically, to accommodate students' diverse learning needs and abilities. So abilities during the application part in the lesson plan, we should consider differentiating the instruction, because it is the final stage of their learning, or all their learning from the discussion will be gathered in the application, and this will support in the evaluation part. Now, let's move on to another subtopic. Assisting and participating in school programs and activities. So, school programs and activities provide opportunities for pre-service teachers to engage with the school community beyond classroom instruction. Participation fosters collaboration, leadership, and community involvement. So, practice teaching goes beyond the classroom. Pre-service teachers should actively participate in school-wide events such as programs, competitions, and community outreach. These experiences foster teamwork and a sense of belonging in the school community. So, our practice teaching is guided with hours. So, we have 500 hours and 350 for the school and 150 for these school programs and activities. So, like for example, we are dealing with community involvement, like for example, cleaning the streets or the events in the school. We are also invited, and it is part of the teaching or the practice teaching. So, it also support school-wide events. So, mga programs, competitions, and outreach activities, because this will guide us on what areas or what is the purpose of the school, of the events in the school. And also, we have assisting in organizing and facilitating events. So, if you are instructed to be an MC, so what will you do? So, you will accept that challenge because you are practicing. So, aspects for it is strengthening relationship with students, colleagues, and the community. So, because you are seen that you are an MC, so they see that you are a practice teacher and you have that skills. So, what will you do? You have built a relationship with the students, the colleagues, and the community because they are familiar with you, and it is very important as one of it is very important as a practice teacher. So I have here a question. Walang katapusang katanungan. So, why is it important for pre-service teachers to participate in school activities? So, ngano nga importante ang mga pre-service teachers like us to participate in school activities? Okay. Letter A, build relationships. What I said earlier, you will develop or build relationship with the school community. So, what are the unsa may nasa school community? We have the teachers, the students, the administrators, and also the family. Important part ang family. We have seen that I have been discovering, or I have been seeing it, that the family is a very important factor in the school. Okay, let us proceed to using assessment practices. So, assessment is a key to measuring student progress and guiding instruction. Pre-service teachers should use a mix of formative and summative assessments to track learning and provide meaningful feedback. So, we have what? Formative and summative. So, formative, during the lesson. And if we say summative, after the lesson. to summarize what you have learned during the lesson. So, it is also important to use varied assessment tools. So what are the assessment tools? We have quizzes, performance tasks, observations. So, is there any more? The written exam, o apil na siya sa quizzes. We have also aligning assessments with learning objectives. So, yes, what is the purpose of learning objectives? To align assessments. So, first, we will have learning objectives first before we create assessments, because learning objectives are the main focus or what we aim at the end of the lesson. So after that, what will you do? Provide constructive feedback to improve student learning. So it is important in that process. Kaya what if you will not provide feedback, so they will not know if they are doing the right thing. So why is it constructive? Nganong dili pwede feedback lang? So because constructive feedback, we have areas of improvement and we don't take it as negativity. So I have here a question. What is the main purpose of assessment in teaching? So what is the main purpose? A. To evaluate student learning and inform instruction. B. To rank students according to performance. C. To penalize students who fail to meet expectations. D. To ensure all students receive the same grade. So all of the three choices are negative. So the correct answer is letter A, to evaluate student learning and inform instruction. Okay, so yes, we have formative and summative assessment. So summative assessment is going to evaluate student learning after the discussion, and inform instruction if there are areas of improvements or there are remediations. Now, we will going to tackle the next subtopic, which is the conducting demonstration lessons. But before we proceed to that, just do a little exercise with your hands like this, and we will continue it afterwards. So let's take a small rest. Yes. Okay. Inhale, exhale. Okay. Are we all now ready? Let us now proceed to conducting demonstration lessons. So, I will ask you, why is it important to conduct demonstration lessons? Because it allows pre-service teachers to showcase their teaching skills, classroom management, and ability to engage students. So, ability to engage students. So, what if I will not meet that? I have no teaching skills, I have no classroom management plan, I have no ability to engage students. So, should I conduct demonstration lessons? Yes, because as a practice teacher, it is crucial to have demonstration lessons for your mentor to input areas for improvement after your demonstration. So, very good to the students who have the ability in teaching, classroom management, and to engage the students. So, how to be that teacher? So, you will have different techniques, strategies, approach, and methods. So, it is very important to familiar those four. And without familiaring those four, you cannot do, or your lesson will not be in a manner or in a way that is planned. Okay. So, in construction demonstration lessons, what comes or what puts our mind first? Should we just demonstrate, go in front, just just um, put your IMs, use the television, or what? What will we do first? We will have our very good. We will have our lesson plan. Lesson plan before the demonstration lessons, for that so that our mentor will be aware of what will we do, or how good we are in having lesson planning. So yes, lesson plan is very important because it serves as a blueprint. It means it is a guide for us teachers or practice teachers during the lesson. So I have been experiencing a lot of this uh, during lesson planning, during my practice teaching, and yes, lesson plan is very crucial for all of us. And during the my demonstration there, I just passed my lesson plan because the teacher or my mentor will provide a constructive feedback after my demonstration. So yes, it is very important to have that, and not just a lesson plan, but it is a structured lesson plan. So, what will be inside the lesson plan? You have engaging strategies to facilitate learning, you have group activity, you have pair work, you have differentiated instruction. And what will you expect after conducting demonstration lessons? You will receive feedback for professional growth, and do not take it as a negativity because we are learning from our mistakes. So what will we do next time? We will improve. Okay, very good. So I have here a sample test question. So what is the primary goal of demonstration lesson? Yes, the correct answer is letter A, to showcase teaching strategies and receive feedback. What kind of feedback? A constructive feedback. It is negative? No, it is not negative. It is our areas for improvement. Very good. That is not negativity. So, I have here a quote about that. So, it's this motivation for us. So, positivity makes us succeed, and negative will lead us to just nothing. Negative will lead us just nothing, because if we are negative with ourselves, we are like, for example, our body will not cooperate with us on what we do because we are negative in ourselves. So I have a lot of subtopics. So I just take a little rest, and we will continue this after a minute. So now we will continue the subtopics of practice teaching. We have the assisting my cooperating teachers in accomplishing school forms or scripts. So basically, I have one mentor, so it is cooperating teacher. So pre-service teachers assist in documentation. So just like us, we are assisting our mentor and record-keeping tasks such as attendance, grading, and student progress reports. Accuracy and confidentiality in handling student records are crucial. So why is it crucial? So why is it important to have these types of the ability or the mga activities of the teachers? So why do we need to help? Because we are practice teachers, and we are not just going to school observing the students. just sitting down, just walking in. So what will we do? We will be assisting our teachers so that if we are in the field, we know how to use that, or we will know how to handle that activity. So school forms are essential for documentation, record keeping, and student progress monitoring. So, pre-service teachers assist in preparing and managing this course. And basically, as what I've said earlier, it is very important to help so that we are familiar with that activity, or on how to do that, because uh, I have heard that those hired teachers are capable of doing this. So it is very important to practice that kind. So it is okay to fail. It is okay to have wrong or done it wrong in the first time, but at the same time, or at the meantime, we are not all perfect. So what will we do? We should practice on how to handle it. So learning about common school forms such as attendance sheets, grading sheets, and anecdotal records. So first, we will tackle attendance sheets. So what will we see in attendance sheet? Basically, we have the name of the students, of course. So it's either rumble or it is based on gender. So as what I've said, it is based on gender. We have girls first, then boys, then for other teachers, they have boys first, then followed by girls. So it is very important to have that attendance sheets so that every activity of the students will be list. The scores of the students will be listed in the attendance sheets ready. So that it is very important because some of our parents are confused about grades. So yes, just know that the attendance sheets, the scores of your students, so that the teacher can also track what they did at students absent. So if some other has mga about mga problems about that, so you can just put our inputs using the attendance sheets. And now we will have the grading sheets. So grading sheets is very important because some of the parents of the learners in the school would say that, why is my child having a low grades? So what will you do as a teacher? So you will show him or her the grading sheets, because all of your activities, of all your performance tasks, your projects, the presentation in front are graded in the grading sheets. So today we are very high tech because we can use sheets or Excel to input grades in the grades of our students or pupils. So elementary pupils are very familiar or own to the grading. So they are afraid if they got a low score. So it is very important that we should maintain and improve, or we should tally the points of our students, especially when having group activities. And also the anecdotal records. So anecdotal records, for example, their portfolio, their activities done in school, and the students' grades or mga cards. So we should help our mentor in assessing that, so that we are familiar on what to do. So what is the main purpose? What is the main purpose of having this? So it ensures accuracy and confidentiality in handling student records. So what will we do? We should share? We should share with other? No, it is confidential. It means that as a teacher, I am aware of that. If the parents have problems about that, we have one-on-one. And I don't share it through media, because media nowadays is a lot causes a lot of trouble, discrimination, and yes, it is a source of news or information, but using it in not in a proper way could lead to negativity. So what else? What should else? Why is it important? Because it or shows support to our mentor, teacher in administrative task. So it is an example of an administrative task. So yes, we will help our mentor and for our development as well. Yes, as our development as well. So I have a question. Why is it assisting in accomplishing school forms important for pre-service teachers? Because it helps understand documentation and administrative tasks in teaching. So, by the way, we are teaching, we are doing administrative tasks. So we are not, we are practicing as a teacher, so that we are called practice teachers. So, alangan, we are just going to school, roaming around, or just nothing. So we should what? We should help our mentor on the task in the school. Next, we will be tackling about building networking and linkages. Networking linkages. So what comes in your mind when you hear the word networking and linkages? For me, networking allows pre-service teachers to connect with colleagues, administrators, and professional for professional growth and opportunities. So, as what I mentioned earlier, it is very important to have communication or relationship, positive relationship with our colleagues, administrators, and professionals. Yes, why is it needed? Or do I need it? Or should I need to have it? I need to have it because building a relationship, a good relationship, will lead into positive outcomes. So, when you're practice teaching, you are shy, so you will not approach with your mentor. You just sitting there, observing there, without asking any further clarifications. Aside of the teaching strategies, so after your discussion, your mentor said, then you don't have follow-up questions. Is that a positive relationship? I think no, because positive relationship focus on conversation, positive communication. In terms of negativity, you will translate into positivity. That's right. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. I am right. So sometimes most of the practice teachers or some of the students uh, will handle constructive feedback into negativity. So they might fail to do something because of their negative minds. And what I've said earlier during my on my quote, it is not about the the positivity, the negativity. It's all about positivity. So if you think positive, you will succeed. If you will think negative, you will stay on what you are standing. So what will we do? We are some of the person can help us, but the most capable of ourselves is our own true self. So without this true self, we cannot express, we cannot move on tasks because we think negative. And also, as practice teacher, building networking and linkages is very important because it establishes connections with fellow teachers and mentors. Okay, so let's take for example, we are now in the uh, we are having discussions with mentors because we have positive relationship of teachers. So one of the teachers said, your students or you're good in verbal communication, and you need some of the teachers said you need to improve your teaching strategies because it will not suit with your learners. So what will you do? So some of the teachers will said, oh, you should uh, make just like this, do like this, like act like this. So you will think it negative? No, because it is your uh, you as a practice teacher would internalize mo siya. Sige, pasok. So kapag nasa isip mo na, so anong gagawin mo? Baliwalain mo lang ba? So dapat itatak mo sa iyong isip, lagay mo sa dibdib. Tapos anong gagawin mo? You will practice it every day. Because what happens if I will not practice it every day? Now, do you think I would capable of it? No. Because just like in basketball, we have different forms of shooting. We have different forms of shooting. We have different forms of dribbling. We have different forms of shooting 3 points. So, what makes it perfect? It's because of the word consistency. If you're consistent with that policy, if you're consistent with that routines, if you're consistent with that rules, believe me or not, until the last day, they will bring what you have shared to them. So, just like basketball, it is very important to develop consistency to maintain or to gain positive outcomes within yourself. Another, we have engaged in professional learning communities. So, yes, I am around with professional teachers and they're talking about what to do, what areas of improvement should I move. So, it is building a relationship with in the professional learning communities. So, first, if you're a practice teacher, you are in the field, in the school. So, the learning communities is the school, and the professional who are there is your mentor or the other teachers. So, seeking mentorship and career guidance. So, when you are in the school, you think that you are empty. I did not say that it's empty. It's a cup that is not filled with water. So, just a little water, then I expect that at the end of the semester, you will fill that with water. So what will you do? You will work hard. You will work hard, and the tears, the sa Bisaya pa na, anang singot mo tulo, and that of mapuno, I believe that you are a great teacher. So, ngano man ta? Why should we have mga singot? So, because we are developing the skills that our mentor said. So, it 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 it's just a day or just a work under the sun. So we should work it hard so that we will not stay longer under the sun. So it is very important to seek mentorship and career guidance because we are developing. We are not professional yet. We are professional, but we are practicing another learning because one of my mentor or my teacher in college she said that learning is not just this day but every day. So take note that you don't learn today. You don't learn today, it's okay. No, that's not okay. Because learning is every day. So, if I'm, for example, I don't know how to cook. If I cook a new dish today, so it means I have learning. So, do you get what I mean? You need to discover at least one learning in a day. So, at least there's 365 days in the year, so you have 365 learnings. It's just a joke. So, take it seriously. Okay, so I have here a question. Why is networking important for pre-service teachers? Ano nang po na importante ng networking? Unsam din ang networking? Yes, what I've said earlier, it's about building a relationship. So, if we have good relationship, we are having opportunities for learning and career growth. So, the correct answer is letter. So, I will leave you again another quote because it comes to my mind. So, this quote is, opportunities don't happen, you create them. And it's very related to our topic. So, back to seeking mentorship. So, seeking mentorship, opportunities na. Dili na siya may tabo. Dili siya may tabo diha. But you, as the person or your true self, would create. So, how would you create? You will seek mentorship and career guidance, di ba? If things don't go with a plan, you need to create a plan B. So, yes, just what I've said. You need to create opportunities for you to grow. And now, at last, we have writing a classroom-based action research. So, writing a classroom-based action research is tackles about identifying a classroom problem or area of improvement, collecting and analyzing data to find solutions, implementing and evaluating interventions. So, identifying a classroom problem, yes, during our field study, we are tasked to create a title for our action research. And during this practice internship, a practice teaching, so we will implement those research. So what will we do? We will collect, analyze data to find solutions. So for example, the problem is the students get bored during afternoon sessions. So what will we do? We should incorporate interactive activities during our discussion or during the lesson in the afternoon. So we will evaluate interventions, we will show areas for improvement, and many things about the problem. So I have here a question. What is the primary purpose of classroom-based action research? So classroom-based, it means inside the classroom. So what? To solve a specific classroom issue using research-based strategies. So what are the classroom issues? Student behavior, absenteeism, management, the reading, the listening skills, the visual skills, the communication skills. Okay, we have now designing my teaching internship portfolio. So I include this as part of the practice teaching subtopic because as a practice teacher, we should have a teaching internship portfolio. It showcases the activities that we do in the school, what we do in the school. So I will give you a short description about designing my teaching portfolio. A teaching internship portfolio showcases a pre-service teacher's experiences, yes, lesson plans, reflections, and accomplishments during practice teaching. So, diri day masulod atong mga lesson plans. So, while anyong lesson plan, wala kay compile na. Reflections. Yes, I lack this. I don't have these strategies. So, during my reflections, I should make this like this. Just do this like this. So, it is an example of a reflection. Okay, documenting teaching experiences, reflections, and students' progress, including lesson plans, assessments, and instructional materials. So, importante dito instructional materials, we should not just burn it. So, we should collect it and put it in a place that it will be used. So, it will also highlighting professional growth and learning. Okay, so the importance of that is the growth and learning. Yes, okay. If we are having time hard with lesson plan, we should check our reading lesson plan during our practice teaching. So, last, we have accomplishing my exit and evaluating forms. So, exit na ko ba? Ay, joke. So, exit and evaluation forms helps assess the per-service teacher's overall performance and experiences in practice teaching. So, key point, providing feedback on the practice teaching experiences. Yet, what kind of feedback? Constructive feedback. Reflecting on strengths and areas for improvement. Yes, areas of improvement. And we will not take it as negativity because it will chain us for not moving on us. Okay, documenting final evaluations from mentor teachers. So, yes, just what I have. I have a lesson plan, so my mentor has been correcting or tallying my good points and not bad points, areas for improvements. And I really accept that I have many more things to work on because I am learning, and every day I learn. Not totally that day I am expert because I am still practicing skills. And behind our busy days, our financial problems, it will also hinder us. And I think this is the last of my discussion. So I think I suggest to watch this video for more learnings and for more updates. And to summarize it all, under the practice teaching, we have 13 types of topics. So first, I will just start at the last. So accomplishing my exit and evaluation forms, and designing my teaching internship portfolio, writing a classroom-based action research, building networking and linkages, assisting my cooperating teachers in accomplishing school forms, and conducting demonstration lessons, using assessment practices, assisting and participating in school programs, designing differentiated class activities, creating instructional materials, managing my classroom structure and routines, and doing observation of classes. So we have pre-observation and post-observation. And the last, we have attending face-to-face or virtual orientation sessions. So it is very important that this is the first step in your practice teaching, because without this first step, it will lead to misconceptions or distractions during the practice teaching. So this is the last part of my discussion, and I hope you have learned something new today. Thank you and God bless.